All right, so they continue the breakfast show we dey watch live na Liberty Online Television and earlier I'll tell una say we dey can talk to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation we na Alhaji Musa Timothy Kaba. We don't join we now in the studio. Good morning, Mr. Minister.
Good morning, Khadija. Good morning, Sierra Leone.
All right, that's now the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Alhaji Musa Timothy Kaba. And as you all know, if not only follow lately, una go no say the Minister of Foreign Affairs just come out with President Bill usai they attend the AU summit na Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, and from there it go na Qatar usai it open the new Salone embassy. But before that, we don't they see usai pictures be there all over the social media and self the Minister of Information when the official government spokesman say the Minister of Foreign Affairs been travel gonna Guinea with delegation for go get negotiation with the Guinean authority them for sake of the first time Salon ambassador to Guinea. Where rumor be the fly say it be they under detention at Guinea. The Minister of Foreign Affairs been go there and it been spent about 9 days outside a whole negotiation there with the Guinean authority them. Then later again, the Minister of Information come out and tell the public say the Minister of Foreign Affairs not able to get negotiation with the Guinean authority. They don't release to the first ambassador of Salone to Guinea. He don't count and back that Salone. And the two countries they now they do joint investigation. So all of that you go know what exactly what be negotiation there with the foreign minister, the old Guinea and self you go update the public about the summit where it just come on at Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. But quickly, before they can go into all of the work and do it, come on, Mr. Minister, you don't at the foreign ministry for quite some time now. And you now be one minister during the term where President B.O.B. appoints you. Not a secret, say a lot of issues that be there internationally because of the 2023 elections people be dey contest the transparency of the elections wey be make some international organization dem bin get issues with President Bio in government. You be there in the center of all the negotiation there. How you be able for navigate through all of the international negotiation there for make the international body that you restore them confidence back for with President Bio in government?
Thank you very much, Khadija. And, you know, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we mandate now Section 10 of the Salon Constitution now established, and the President of the Republic being the chief diplomat of the country. And as Minister of Foreign Affairs, you're more or less representing the country and the President in multilateral institutions and also an envoy of the president for established in cases where we not get diplomatic relations and where we do have existing diplomatic relations for strengthen and expand the scope of those relations. And yes, of course, after 2023 elections, there were, some people who have been dissatisfied and some international partners had questions to ask. And but like I said, with the directives and the vision of His Excellency the President, we engage. And in engaging, we're able to make with partners that understand, say, Sierra Leone is a democratic state, and we don't move from a war context to a rather, developing democracy. And so, democracy itself, not a event, not a process, and it's a work. It's a work in the meal, and every day would improve. And of course, we were able to explain to we partners, and we all get an understanding of how we for work together for promote, democracy, transparency, and accountability in electoral processes. But it's also worthy for note to say the elections are not entirely the marker of democracy. They are, of course, part of democracy, and we see what the president do after the elections. There was this national discussion with the opposition and all of that, which culminated into tripartite, and the partners then participate, and it became a very inclusive process. And so, of course, confidence is built. The chief diplomat is by nature and internationally somebody who pride himself in promoting and protecting the interests of a country outside of the country. So the job has not been easy, but with his directives, his vision, we've been able to navigate through. For example, since 2023, we don't get embassies, we don't establish them presence in Salon. We serve on open embassies in other countries where they should say the acceptability of a country, the willingness of other nations for work with Sierra Leone is very apparent since after, I mean, obviously before I came in and now that I'm Minister of Foreign Affairs. So it's been a very exciting 1.5 years, year of being Minister of Foreign Affairs as working with the Chief Diplomat, His Excellency the President, on behalf of the people of this country for promote the country overseas.
This work being exciting from coming from you.
Mm.
And we all know say when President Building come in 2018 to now, one thing we really don't dey focus on na for go position Salone
Mhm.
na the international world.
Mm.
How you go describe Sierra Leone current reputation and image to the international world currently?
Very high. I mean, Sierra Leone has a very high reputation in the international uh, arena today, and this is because of the president in determination for promote a country. We live in a world where no country is an island, and so for that you get your own recognition, for that you get your own strength, for that you guarantee and sustain your sovereignty, you must play key role in international space. In fact, this is why after 53 years, President Bio tried for Mekuguna Security Council, the United Nations, one of the premium body where they determine the maintenance of global peace and security. And also last year, February of last year, the African Union at continental level, and we get for overwhelmingly vote in Sierra Leone into the African Union Peace and Security Council, where make Salonde play both the global role in maintenance of global peace and security and also continental role in the architecture we're responsible for peace and security in Africa. So all of these things what they do, and also the effect of what we're doing in multilateral institutions, and don't give opportunity to many Sierra Leoneans for get outstanding jobs and representations in international organizations such as the ICC, IS, International Law Reform Commission, and all of these places many Sierra Leoneans. And this actually not the mandate of foreign policy dispensation, where the president the direct promote the interest of Sierra Leone overseas and ensure that there is peace and stability in sub-region and our contribution to that. In the UN, for example, Sierra Leone has been known as the voice of reason and a principled country where they vote on decisions based on basic values, principles, and international law and the UN Charter.
All right, continue for the way to the studio, Mr. Minister. We will come back to you shortly. In name na Alhaji Musa Timothy Kaba, in the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. They are this morning, they can give you updates, but different work at them where it just come out do. And waiting at some of the negotiation them where it get with the Guinean authority, them we make the release to them the first time Salon ambassador to Guinea. All right, we continue the breakfast show. I will come back to the Minister of Foreign Affairs with Alhaji Musa Timothy Kaba, where they with we at the studio. Mr. Minister, earlier you just don't tell them some of the things them we be able for do for ensure say with all of the elections scandal will be there on President Bio in government unable for restore back donor confidence. And one of the things them we don't be trending topic lately now they all get for do with the cocaine scandal on Sierra Leone. And your boss, we see now the chief diplomat during in time where he take up office, one of the popular phrases we Sierra Leone and they know for him, when them they put under pressure, say it travel a lot. He say it go rebrand the image of Sierra Leone, we mean say where it come, it not meet the image of the country na a pleasing mode. So it try for go rebrand. And as it is now, we all know how the international media don't they report about Salon, about harboring a Dutch fugitive, we Guinea embassy utility vehicle allegedly they cage some huge amounts of substance there. You sitting as the foreign minister in all of them scandal there, how you work talent presently?
Well, it's a normal thing. I mean, in every role, there are challenges and also opportunities. Well, I mean, let me speak to the incident that occurred in Guinea. And thankfully, His Excellency the President you don't take a decisive decision on the changing of the ambassador, in the sense that now of course, we have a very experienced individual in the body of Excellency, the Honorable Fode Yumkela, former Minister of Political Affairs and Public and Political Affairs, we it appoints to Guinea. What transpired in Guinea on the on the 31st of December 2024, a utility vehicle of the embassy, then been get for impound na Guinea as a result of which, in fact, they found in this suspicious substance of cocaine, and there was a driver in it with another person. So the Guinean authorities, consistent with the Vienna Convention, opened the vehicle in the presence and at the invite and presence of the ambassador, then ambassador, and asked if the substances were found. Then immediately, what we did was to recall the ambassador for answer to questions on how and why would embassy vehicle registered to the embassy of Sierra Leone was found with this substance. And so that was what we called the ambassador for, and also for institute investigation into the matter. And so, of course, when the president instructed that we recall the ambassador, we did. We sent a letter. But, of course, Guinea, under the circumstances, now a military government, so there are different layers of authority and different layers of um, command, and so it's not it will not be as clear as it is in Sierra Leone in a democracy where there's a functional parliament, there's an elected executive, and so in those circumstances you expect complete adherence to international law and the law that we establish, for example, diplomatic relations, which is the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations of 1961. And so the recall went, but the rumor that the ambassador was on house arrest was false.
We will come to that one,
Mhm,
Minister. But let's take you back before the December 31st incident.
mhm,
Guinea and Salone issues be done the calm before that, where they be the put Sierra Leonean in a truck for carry them back na Cambia.
mhm.
Also, some standoff been day. And the allegation will be come out from that 10 day from the Guinean authority them. Now that then Sierra Leonean they are the tap na slum community them na Guinea, where them believe say some illegal drug activities them they go on at this particular side. You've been coming again, also say the foreign minister, your counterpart na Guinea come, una been go na State House, try for get some discussion with them. So with this incident of December 31st, it clearly shows say the Guinean government wetin dem dey talk but then Sierra Leonean dem dey na true.
Well, I mean, the evacuation, the removal of many other citizens, it was not only Sierra Leoneans from that particular that particular area in Guinea. I mean, there were Ghanaians, other nationals of West Africa, Liberians, Mauritanians, Gambians, and Senegalese, and all of those. So they went there. Of course, it's a slum where they say they were peddling drugs, gauche, tramadol, and all of those substances, and a lot of crime in that particular area, and the area very close to another gentrified area. So I think the government made the effort of removing those slum dwellers and for re-establish the place as a gentrified community. And it happened for BC. Then we get for decide the Guinean authorities. Then we decide say based on the fine relations between Sierra Leone and Guinea, instead of them jail the Sierra Leonean citizens, then they made them get the one that will not get placed, let them bring them back to Sierra Leone. But the manner in which that was conducted was not right, and that is the reason why the Guinean foreign minister, the president of Guinea, and therefore envoy in foreign minister, for come to His Excellency as a special envoy for apologize, say yes, they reacted because of the need for poor people in that particular place, but the manner in which it was executed, loaded on truck and conveyed to the border without recourse to the embassy for identification and for other diplomatic engagements. That's why the foreign minister came. The event of 31st December, it's quite different from what the authorities took action for on the days before 31st of December. This is very unfortunate. To drive a country, therefore, with catering for over 8 million people of diverse interests, diverse activities, diverse aspirations, diverse engagement, and what they do. So everywhere in the world, people they engage in crimes and illegal activities. But the ability, for example, for the government for sure say that government is ready to fight, for example, the use of drugs, and it's an unfortunate situation. Even in the country today, our young folks are dying in Africa, everywhere, the proliferation of dangerous drugs, it affects the young generation and every generation, absolutely. So it's a big challenge. And of course, the incident of the 31st, an embarrassing situation, a situation where we don't want for ourselves. But like I said, what we did was to recall the ambassador to question why the embassy vehicle was involved in the incident. It's a strict liability offense. The people who were caught on the act are in the custody of the Guinean authorities. Incidentally, none of the two people then are diplomatic staff. They are local staff employed in Guinea by the embassy. Sorry, the driver, a local staff employed by the embassy, will not get the privileges of diplomatic immunity, but the ambassador covered by the Vienna Convention. That's the reason why we call her. The ambassador was called, but the thing was not found in the ambassador's vehicle. And the ambassador was not subjected to any criminal investigation in Guinea because of the inviolability of the right of the ambassador where they inside the Vienna Convention. So when I went to Guinea, it was more or less to tell the Guinean authorities that because they had requested that, well, according to them, because it's found in the vehicle of the embassy. That's why they call the ambassador. But even by law, neither Guinea nor we nor able to establish whether the ambassador was involved or not. And that's why when the ambassador comes, investigations are being conducted. We have done it at diplomatic level. We question the ambassador. He says he has no involvement in that. And so the people where they investigate will continue to conduct investigation. But the ambassador and I came to Sierra Leone. My being in Guinea under the instruction of the president was to ensure that this thing not affect the fine brotherly relations between the two countries. And I guess we have achieved that in a way that both countries say we will conduct joint investigation into this matter for ensure say we all cut down on transnational organized crime such as the trafficking of drugs.
Before you go take the
Mm.
ambassador, at any point from when this incident happened, if you don't day on detention na Guinea.
No, he was not. Every diplomat is protected by the Vienna Convention. You cannot, they put diplomat in a court, they put diplomat in a jail because that convention will establish diplomatic relations, give that inviolability to the ambassador.
Aside the ambassador, where rumor be dey go out, where you don't categorically deny say not to true, there is another one we get for do the head of chancery na the embassy na Guinea, where many Sierra Leonean they say e dey under detention na Guinea.
The head of chancery is not under detention. In fact, we had recalled the head of chancery based on the routine rotation of we foreign diplomats then get tenure within the span. So during the process, nine this thing happened. So he was immediately called to capital to come and answer because the vehicle in question began as a law under the cover of a note verbal issued by the embassy. And the head of chancery is the administrative head of the embassy. So he is held, I beg your pardon, responsible for issuing, note verbal what do you call it, laissez-passer to the vehicle in which this substance was found. And if I think it's the right thing to do, we come with question. You gave not verbal laissez-passer to this vehicle. Are you aware that this laissez-passer will give clearance for this vehicle for go in and come in, and that clearance cover this vehicle and protect it? But why would we find? Why did they find this substance in the vehicle? And we call on to question. And the head of chancellor, of course, now that the ambassador is not in the country, by issuing a note verbal, let's say, passer to a vehicle in which a substance was found, does not make the HOC culpable. He has not been under any investigation. He's not associated with this thing, but administrative reasons, because we are trying to ensure that nobody impinges on the reputation of this country. We have to take action at every level for make sure say we prevent this
Other
thing.
information we made public was that delay been there for the Salone ambassador to Guinea then come back, Ambassador Bangura come back Salone because the Guinean authorities then they give stiff resistance and the while stand trial yonder and the not be one for make a can we make up till now people still get a big question mark whether not to say the ambassador the tongue. At any point there where resistance been there for release and for come.
Well, look, first and foremost, as a diplomat, no law no give whether it is whatever sort of governance in a country, as long as you accept exchanges in diplomatic representation, that the exchange in diplomatic representation is covered by the Vienna Convention, where they protect every diplomat. Of course, the Guineans, where it happened, because it's a very serious crime. It's a grave crime. It's a transnational organized crime. So, of course, because the ambassador are head of mission, and the thing was found in the vehicle, the Guineans wanted cooperation in the investigation, but that cooperation preclude it not involve standing in trial because a diplomat cannot under the Vienna Convention. So they wanted to somehow for make the ambassador go able to help them in the investigation. But we said, okay, you know what? This is our ambassador. If anything, there's the United Nations Convention on Transnational Organized Crime of 2000, wherein we can do joint investigation because I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a jury, for who put the ambassador on the trial. The ambassador could be better investigated in Sierra Leone here, where for example, under these circumstances, is no longer a diplomat. It does not have the immunity. We are jointly investigating with him. But like I said, under the circumstances in which the ambassador within Guinea, the ambassador was not found culpable. Culpable because not the thing was not found in the diplomatic vehicle of the ambassador. Ambassador was not in the vehicle, and the crime committed is a strict liability offense, which means those who then caught in the act, not the people who were responsible for the thing. But because the vehicle is associated with the embassy, the ambassador is under investigation.
You say
The erstwhile ambassador
you say the driver na a local
staff.
staff. Women say no get no diplomatic.
No, it's not covered by
yes.
the.
Then also somebody else been there with the driver and the vehicle, then catch them substance there. Woman that na is Sierra Leonean by the name called Fresh.
The report not talk about an alias. The reports where we get from the Guinean authorities and say there was another occupant we named Alphaba, and I don't know whether he's fresh or not. I don't know the alias, and because it's a transnational organized crime, I don't get access to any of them. I'm not a minister of justice. I did not go there to look at those that are not, diplomatic staff. In this case, I went there for the diplomat, and like I said, because it's a strict liability offense, the law of Guinea they deal with the people that were not all inside.
So this Alphaba and the driver, the Guinean authority, and they tried them.
Those people are under Guinean custody and investigation.
Before you go na Guinea for go bring the then ambassador, immediately this incident happened, you recall the ambassador for come back home. You don't recall him, but you not be able for come until you go. Waiting be the challenge for letting one not come pass you go as a foreign minister, go meet to the president of Guinea, and have been signed MOU before they release it to you.
Well, we were to sign MOU based on the United Nations Convention on Transnational Organized Crime for joint judicial investigation. At the end of the day, we did not sign the MOU because I made it very clear to the Guineans that you cannot ask us to institute an investigation on the ambassador when no court has established that the ambassador was involved, neither was the thing caught in the vehicle of the ambassador. It's a serious crime. And for redeem the reputation of Sierra Leone, and we told them, without prejudice to the crime committed, the Vienna Convention, they ask for protect the ambassador because we wanted a safe passage to Sierra Leone for make the ambassador go come. They will ask him at your own level, why this happened. And so we at the foreign ministry says he has no idea, he wasn't involved, and the rest of the investigation is in the hands of those who investigate such crimes. But of course, the challenge was, like I said, our governance systems are different. And so when a grave incident like that happens, sometimes people can react, say, no, we cannot take this. But you cannot circumvent the law because of emotions and the reality of the magnitude of the crime. So what me being get for go for remind them was that the Vienna Convention provides that inviolability for the ambassador and that the government of Sierra Leone is responsible enough for institute investigation because this they impinge on the good reputation of our country. And that is how we were able to negotiate that. That look, we have to understand this without prejudice to the crime. There is a law that establishes our diplomatic
So
relations.
throughout that period,
Mm.
after we Salone government, they don't say come back.
Mm.
Where you know being calm before you they go there and finally you say you bring and calm.
Mm.
Throughout that period, Usai Ambassador Bangura Bindi.
Ambassador Bangura been in host. In the common I host can work every day. When I dey go Guinea, whilst I did day in my engagement, I retire to the embassy where I hold my meetings, do my write-up, do my letters, my note verbals, engage the Guineans. The foreign minister of Guinea was himself on two, three occasions come to the embassy with the Sudan ambassador Bangura in office. We discuss and we find ways. See, in Guinea, not only the foreign ministry was involved, the foreign ministry was a conduit because of the diplomatic relations. The Ministry of Justice, the Gendarmerie Nationale, and the other security authorities were involved in this. So forget to all of these people for make them understand, say we are a democracy, that the establishment of a diplomatic relations is actually anchored on international convention and the Vienna Convention. So now that's a francophone country, it's a different country. So you therefore move around and do diplomatic meandering, maneuvering for ensure say we keep the health, status, and sanity of a diplomatic relation.
During all the negotiation there we go to Guinea, genuinely, at any point, the Guinean authority and they ask you for remove the then ambassador in diplomatic tag them.
Of course, the Ministry of Justice had requested through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Guinea, say, made a request to Leon for remove the diplomatic immunities of the ambassador, so then we'll get chance for investigate the matter for that. No, we cannot. We could not. We could not because under the circumstances as a diplomat, and there's no precedent in the world where a country will send a diplomat to go overseas, then you remove diplomatic immunities for now, for making subject to the laws of investigation of another country when it was not proven that the substance was found in the ambassador's vehicle or with the ambassador. You see, the ambassador's associative um, associative culpability here, I would choose to say that because he's ambassador and the vehicle and the thing was found in an embassy vehicle, but that not make the ambassador guilty. And that is why investigations are ongoing to establish whether the ambassador was part of the erstwhile ambassador was part of it or not.
So now that you don't confirm, say the Guinean authority with the request they take away diplomatic immunity, then
Mm.
yesterday President Bio don't sack him, don't
Mm.
replace her with somebody else.
Mm.
Waiting in chances. Although you say they now na salon,
Chances of
where
what?
this many Sierra Leonean the question if
Mm.
really you been carry the ambassador na salon.
I have no reason to. Yes, of course, I brought the ambassador to Sierra Leone, brought him, he came to the office. We investigated, we asked him why, and he said he was not associated with it. And the rest is with the authorities that are responsible for the investigation of crimes. And so we enroll, and President Bio, of course, the action of President Bio should say whether or not the ambassador is guilty, there is always going to be consequence. There are always going to be consequences for anything where they impinge on the reputation of the country. And for the embassy in vehicle, the person that the government will take action against is the head of mission. And the president has gracefully appointed a very seasoned diplomat because under those circumstances, don't forget, we all over the world, even in the communities, when somebody is accused, in public opinion already, the person is as guilty as charged, but there's a law aspect where they establish whether it is true or not. So the president's action, for sure, say, is very determined to fight transnational organized crime, such as drug trafficking.
So does that mean the authorities in Guinea can now try Ambassador Bangura because I mean, they don't replace her now. It's clear, say he's no longer the ambassador to
Mm.
Guinea on behalf
Mm.
of Sierra Leone. So
Mm.
Guinea can go ahead now and is standing trial day or now this investigation where Salon they do normally
Well,
go
of course,
contend on.
we did do a joint investigation. At the end of the day, we therefore exchange information with the Guinean authorities. They were very willing to let the ambassador come under the Vienna Convention, and the ambassador is now here. Is no longer the ambassador of Sierra Leone to Guinea. He's been investigated. There's no diplomatic immunity in this case, and it's up to the people who are investigating it and what's in for do with the Guinean authorities. But that is no
Interestingly,
longer under the purview of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Interestingly, Mr. Minister, one thing we make so many people, if you ask the public now, they open phone lines and then go tell you say they don't believe say the ambassador don't come because there is no sign of him anywhere. Not when on be left Guinea, not when on arrive Sierra Leone, not when on meet with him for question. No pictures, no video. We're very unusual. Waiting
And
happen.
not unusual. I did not go to Guinea on a victory tour. I went to Guinea to ask the authorities, remind them of the convention we established with diplomatic relations. I cannot be coming with that ambassador under the circumstances and for go say, let me have a press release. I'm bringing the ambassador. I went on a victorious tour. No, I did not go on a victorious tour. I went there to ensure that while the crime is grievous and it's been investigated, we keep intact the reputation of the country and keep the fineness of the relations between Guinea and Sierra Leone.
So as serious as you dey describe the crime
Mm.
wey dem dey investigate am
Mm.
for, currently e dey on detention as Salone or e dey as a free man, then I host dey go when they need am.
Well, like I said, when we came, we did our own path as Ministry of Foreign Affairs because he was working for the ministry when the thing happened. After that, the authorities that are responsible for investigating such crimes, then they investigate the crime.
All right, now let's move at the level for you sitting as a foreign minister. One of your major mandates are for strengthening bilateral relationship them with other countries. And from December to now, few incidents don't happen where a lot of people get this opinion say now a test to that process they will they go through as a minister of foreign affairs. Apart from this Guinea incident where you don't explain extensively, we don't see again was I a foreign journalist come na salon, police be arrest them, interrogate them because the journalist then say he be there on a mission where you know get accreditation from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. All of the issues then they all get for do with the honorary consul of Sierra Leone to Canada who say resignation letter again.
Uh-huh.
They pass na the social media. You sitting as a foreign minister, you agree say this na a test to your work?
Well, it's just part of my daily job. I mean, it's not anything extraordinary. It's part of the job. And let me speak to the honorary consul. We said honorary consul will resign, and I mean the pretext, you know, that very person came across as a saboteur. The role of an honorary consul and not to for interfere into the internal affairs of the country. We accredit you for represent the country. And as a result, as a matter of fact, um, it was so unfortunate. But I mean, every person gets his own views, and he tendered his resignation, and which we've accepted. And if you, I will leave that to I'll leave that to the Justice Ministry, whatever is going on behind the scene. The reason he stated that he resigned, to start with, this was not even a functional honorary consul, unfortunately, and to have used this situation to resign, it's happy because for me because we had actually we're working on replacing some of these honorary consuls that have been appointed 10, 15, 20 years
Where is
ago.
not be functional? What do you mean?
Well, when you appoint a honorary consul, it's for him to promote and protect the interests of the country, provide services and support for our citizens where they live now, that given country. Under the circumstances, this now one of the honorary consuls where we don't come across it. He had been appointed for several years, and at some point in time, he actually stopped performing that consulate functions to Sierra Leoneans. But I don't want to sort of make this as if it is not relevant. I mean, it's concerning. that your representation would say, okay, I'm done representing you. And we've accepted it, and definitely. But I mean, these things happen. But moving away from that, with everything where they happen as well, don't forget, many other good things are happening behind the scenes. For example,
But the
this
bad one then don't seem for the overshadow the good one then.
no,
For
they are
example,
not.
we all see
Mhm.
Sophie after the release I go back nine country, he make a tweet talking about Sierra Leone and all of them things then
But
they with a government
mhm,
way so passionate
mhm,
for rebrand the
mhm,
image.
mhm. I was not in the country. I don't know the circumstances under which the journalist was arrested. But yes, I got a call from the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Netherlands who told me, in fact, that make up even know say there was a journalist in Sierra Leone where there made a question in activity. I haven't gone into the details of what transpired, but when it happened immediately, I called the authorities and I called the Minister of Information, and they said, no, everything had been resolved and that the journalist was about to go. They were questioning on journalist, of course, was given clearance. I was told by the Minister of Information. But whatever went wrong, I don't know. But when I got the call, I called the authorities and said, what is happening? And the authorities said, we were conducting certain investigation, but this thing is over. The journalist is leaving. But look, you see, what has happened, like you spoke about the bad things happening versus the good things. We live in a rather well informed, and I would dare to say sometimes misinformed and disinformed society, where we only focus on the minute dots the way they buy a white piece of cloth rather than focusing on the entire piece of cloth that is white. I would tell you categorically that we are right now, regardless the size of our economy or the size of a country, a very important country in the world today. Take, for example, the UN Security Council. We all see this past weekend, we were under a lot of, how do you call it, negotiation, engagement with world leaders. I, for example, I received over 6 calls from foreign ministers in the European Union, from the Assistant Secretary of State of the United States, and different of the partners, the international partners on resolutions that we're going to go, for example, in the Security Council and the General Assembly on the peace matter of Ukraine. We were quite engaged in that. Sierra Leone is an important country that is engaged on the conflict in Sudan, on the conflict in Congo DRC, on Gaza, on Ukraine. These are roles we're playing on behalf of the people of this country for promote international peace and security. These are things we should celebrate. A small country with less than 25 years ago was a menu on the UN Security Council. We were a case of discussion in the Security Council. Today, because of what President Biodo achieved, taking Sierra Leone to the Security Council with the attendant respect our country get, I want for there tell you, say, today our reputation is in a better status than
Amidst
it
all
used to be.
the cocaine scandal.
Cocaine scandal, you say it's a scandal. It's a scandal in the sea of other things what they do. It's unfortunate. I don't take drugs. I am scared of drugs. I don't want drugs to be in our communities. I don't want drugs to be in our country where they destroy the future of picking them, where they destroy homes and families. Yes, it is so sad. It's unfortunate. And I believe the government, through the instruction of the president, they take measures for ensure, say, we put a stop or we try to minimize the impact or the trafficking of drugs through the country. But amidst all of these little scandals here and there, or these scandals, Sierra Leone is doing well internationally. That we all must be proud of our country and be proud of our
And
president.
as people and they be proud of wetin you dey make mention of the good things, and one reason wey make plenty people dey concern
Absolutely.
where any scandal can come up and want to
Mhm.
know how government dey handle them for ensure say the reputation of the country is high up there
That's
and it be
correct.
maintained.
Mhm.
At this stage, since the Dutch government dey request for Omar Sharif, wetin no be the response of the Sierra Leone government to them?
Well, the government of Sierra Leone, through the Minister of Foreign Affairs, received a request, and it was passed on to the Ministry of Justice. And the Ministry of Justice now they engage the authorities in the Netherlands reviewing the document and the request that was made, and government will take the appropriate necessary action and we are in constant engagement. I am in engagement with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Netherlands. And look, as an individual and the president, we in leadership, we follow. Everybody will feel ashamed if your country they come across some of these scandals. It is not in our delight. It's not delightful to us, and so we then make every effort for make sure say these other occurrences not they overshadow the good things our country they do in the world today, and even the good things where they happen in our country. It is in our collective interest for ensure say we sanitize the image of our country. It's a continuous process and make sure say the country become attractive for investment because it is only when investment can our country economic opportunities will be there for the Sierra Leoneans and for all
So
of
as
us.
for the talk currently, Omar Sharif still the Salon because why they ask you as the foreign affairs minister? Because we know say now the communication that established between the two countries were interested in Omar Sharif. The Dutch they ask for and they know say it is Salon and we know say it is the Salon. Currently, is he still here?
I have no idea. That doesn't fall under my purview. And as it implies, I'm Minister of Foreign Affairs. I deal with activities for promoting a name out there. Now that the documents have come, they have been processed by the Ministry of Justice, and the government will take necessary action. But I have no idea. I don't know the person you're talking about, and the government, like I said, Minister of Foreign Affairs was in receipt of this request, which is being passed on to the Ministry of Justice. We're collaboratively going to work. I wasn't in the country. I came in this week, and I believe, say, we have a competent Attorney General and the law office. Everybody will look into this, and
So
the right thing will be done.
as the process they on, you say on in communication with
Mhm.
them. The Salon government willing for let Omar Sharif go as requested.
Well, I don't know what is contained, in fact, in the request. Like I said, it was meant for the Ministry of Justice. It's been conveyed. I have come and we're going to engage. And whatever under international law that Sierra Leone has to do, I think Sierra Leone will do that because the president is someone that prides himself in doing the right thing under the law, both national and international.
UN President Bill just come out at the AU summit na Ethiopia Addis Ababa. So na go represent the country. Usai other African leader them been there. Waiting are some of the things them where UN His Excellency the President bring come back home.
Well, you see, every year there is the summit of the heads of state and government of the African Union, where um, government, the heads of state, where they get different responsibilities in the AU for promote African unity, African development, African process, and African peace and security. So at this 38th session, it started with the ambassadors' engagement, different discussions and different mandates, and then it came to the ministerial council. We, the ministers of foreign affairs, we get different. Particularly this year, the entire African Union was actually largely election year for elect different commissioners to the different commissions of the African Union, and also the very leadership of the African Union Commission, when the chairman or the president of the African Union Commission. So that might be the highlight, of course, the overarching, giving of that particular summit, the 38th Summit of Heads of State and Government of the African Union. Musai, uh, the present foreign minister of Djibouti, was overwhelmingly elected as the incoming chair of the African Union Commission within deputy. So this was the highlight of the summit. But besides that, I told you Sierra Leone is a member of the African Union Peace and Security Council. So His Excellency the President was invited to the council to discuss Sudan and DRC, where I represented the president amongst other heads of state then to discuss the situation in the DRC and in Sudan. That was a successful meeting. We also had the president holding on the margins of the 38th session of the heads of state and government, a head of state meeting on the committee of 10 heads of state and government on the reform of the UN Security Council, bearing in mind that in August last year, when Sierra Leone been getting presidency of the UN Security Council, His Excellency the President been therefore conduct a high level debate on the reform of the UN Security Council, a mandate where Sierra Leone gets as Sierra Leone as a coordinator for Ghana's support for what we call the Common African Position for the reform of the UN Security Council. So after that debate, we still say the world responded to the debate of the president for address the historical injustice where they not meet out to Africa since the formation of the UN, the absence of Africa in the permanent category of the UN Security Council, and the underrepresentation of Africa in the non-permanent category. So me, as the chair of the Council of Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the 10 countries that are responsible for the promotion and the promotion and review of the Common African Position for Africa's involvement in the permanent category. After we get that executive meeting, we came up with a document where we represent the activities of this reform in what they call intergovernmental negotiation group in the UN, following the 78th and the 79th sessions of the General Assembly. We adopt that document and pass it on to the head of state, the coordinator, who is President Bio, where you can forget all the heads of state then from then different countries, Zambia, Libya, Uganda, Equatorial Guinea, Senegal, and all of the other countries, Namibia. President Minga forget a head of state meeting, heads of state meeting, where they adopt the document of President Bio being finally present to the to the summit, to the heads of state of Africa, where been get a resounding, if you like, recognition for the work where Sierra Leone they do with President Bio, the champion for the reform of the UN Security Council. That was a big success, and the president really don't invigorate this call for the reform. Sierra Leone didn't get this mandate from 2005 when they come up with the Common African Position, but the reform process did not become very much sluggish because of we and the other members who were not too interested in the call for the reform of the council. But today, because of the realities of the world, it is very imperative right now for Lady Council to be reformed to reflect the new realities in the world and for also address that historical injustice meted to Africa as a result of our absence in the permanent category. So President Bio don't push this thing. It don't give us so much life to the extent that even we, Sierra Leone, where they coordinate the activities of this C10 right now, we get BB countries that where they jealous we, where one fetch we follow lost this coordinatorship because of the success that is already at the horizon, necessitated by the president and actually pushed by President Bio in vision and in tenacity and vision for ensure, say, international institutions are reformed, especially the Security Council.
From all the activity that were happen at the AU summit, so not just come away don't unpack. So you move go again at Qatar before you come back. Also, you go commission an embassy. How this embassy now will don't officially in Qatar go bring the party business between the two countries, then go continue for get more strength.
You see, the establishment of embassies, one nice statement that you value the relations we get with the other country. And you know, today diplomatic relations is mostly transactional, and where a country engages another country for a common interest of development, common security, common prosperity. To have an embassy in Qatar is very important. Qatar is a very important country in the world today, a country where worthy for emulate, a country where 50 years ago it was a mere desert with desert dwellers, Bedouins. This country don't try in the course of uh, not more than 4 decades, it don't become a country where they even push now for bring about ceasefire in Gaza amongst all other challenges. A small country, the country that's got its act in order, they play a role. We see what happened back in Saudi Arabia. The Saudis have also got their act together. Today, Saudi Arabia, they be a venue for peace talk between Ukraine and between Russia and the US on the Ukraine matter. The Middle East, many of these countries in the Gulf have got their act right and they are ready to invest in Africa. And we are looking for those opportunities for people there. So the establishment of an embassy in Qatar, it's the right thing, right decision in the right direction. We believe say will open new opportunities and relations between Sierra Leone and Qatar.
Right. A lot of messages that don't come in, and from all what we don't discuss since you joined me at the studio, let me just read the message them we will be able for it because of time and you go respond to them before we wrap up this edition of the breakfast show. Well, the very first message we had to take now, the text line this person they ask, say, Mr. Minister, what would you say about one of your diplomats who is being linked with the European most wanted drug lord, Agnes? She is said to be representing Sierra Leone in the Security Council.
This one from Lamin Sisena Facebook. They say, even though I'm not convinced with most of what have said this morning, I actually like you as an individual. Timothy, you are indeed brilliant.
This other message say, what is the positivity happening in Sierra Leone as a nation? Government has not government has not done any external accomplishments, but to move our nation forward.
Abubakar Rashid, they say, Mr. Minister, this time to give us the correct information about the ambassador to Guinea and deputy. We know the ambassador has problem with the Guinean authority, but we heard about the deputy. Can you throw light on this?
This other message where they come out from Jibrila Dumbuya na the YouTube channel, they say the ambassador na mumu, why is he not talking for himself?
Kamara Jibrila, they say, Mr. Minister, honestly and sincerely, is the image of our country good in the eyes of the world in recent times, with records on drugs trafficking and good governance, human rights, freedom of speech, etc.?
This other message from Ronald Georgeson at the YouTube. They say in other nations, a foreign minister is accompanied by a journalist when going on a trip, especially this one. But again, we are talking of Sierra Leone.
Sidi Bangura, they say Minister Alhaji Timothy Kaba is exceptional. He has succeeded in strengthening bilateral relations and enhancing foreign diplomacy. Under his leadership, Sierra Leone has successfully connected with numerous countries, establishing new embassies and fostering valuable partnerships. This is the type of leadership Sierra Leonean praying for. Team talk less and do more. Continue to do more good work. Your dedication to our nation's global presence is truly commendable.
This other message from Samuel Thorley is say our Holmes was in the CID cell, but they recorded her and posted it on social media. If they had got Ambassador Bangra in their hands, they should have posted this picture on social media.
Usfriend Kamara, they say, Mr. Minister, sir, our international relations seem to be experiencing an unprecedented state of diplomatic tests and challenges lately. How are you going to navigate the diplomatic balance in a bid to avoid a diplomatic meltdown of our nation? Is the diplomacy of commonality employed instead of the diplomacy of differences in our international stage?
This other message say by sacking the ambassador, Una already done admit say Sierra Leone guilty and the removal of his immunity.
All right, many messages we don't come. This one from Felawa Koduho. They say one of the most respected ministers I have honored before, but honestly not anymore. I'm highly disappointed with Alhaji Kaba. Why are all the officials not willing to say small amount of truth to power?
All right, this other message they come out from Legendary again. They say if the ambassador this salon, Una show you the video.
Lolo Gasparini, they say Timothy Kaba is one of the most matured ministers in this bill-led government.
This other message say the ambassador is still in Guinea. Otherwise, you guys should have shown us evidence in the public.
Maybe the message too much.
Many
Well, I'll just
messages
take
this
few.
morning.
This one they say, please ask the minister who was the other person in the vehicle with the driver. They have called the driver but have not given the details of the other person in the Guinea vehicle on allegations of drugs.
And this other message from Suleiman Kamara, they say, please, Mabel or Khadija, ask the minister why up until now we haven't seen any pictorial evidence of the former ambassador. If really he is here, we are curious because we know this government for social media.
All right, Tamadu Bari, will go be my final message. They say Timothy is very matured and well grounded on the issues.
This final one, we myself go read because of time. Jibrila Bangura said, Mr. Minister, how confident are you that Ambassador Almami is currently in Freetown? Additionally, what's the rationale for establishing such a large number of embassies worldwide?
All right. Well, we apologize if we not able to read your message because of time. That's the messages that we come for you, Mr. Minister.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank the texters and those who sent their comments. Let me start with the positivity of the reputation out there. Like I said, uh, the incidents then they everywhere in the world, and but the role and respectability of Sierra Leone outside in the international world is really, really excellent. Otherwise, as Minister of Foreign Affairs, um, I will be coming home always almost frowned. But anytime we engage our partners and the role we are playing, especially in the UN Security Council, for example, with our bilateral partners, I mean, to even be able to establish an embassy in another country, it shows say it shows the level of trust and level of respect countries get for we. Would open new embassy in, for example, in Ireland. It's very important. The strategic nature of that embassy is the fact that we get a fine relationship with Ireland to the extent that Ireland has an embassy in Sierra Leone. Ireland is one of perhaps the only English-speaking country in the EU, and we see say we don't reopen with embassy since it was closed down in 1983 in France. France is one of the permanent members of the UN Security Council and one of the developed countries in the world. We get embassy now. All the other four permanent members in the UN Security Council and also we don't open our France. We show the depth of the relationship we'll get with France. And we also don't get in Algeria and the Horn of Africa. So the rationale of embassies, one, it's an expression of the fine relations that exist between two countries. And also embassies, they promote the interests of our country overseas and protect citizens and what they do and bring opportunities for our country. So there is importance in establishing embassies for representation. We see so where Sierra Leoneans indeed in the struggle that the world will not get embassy, it also becomes a matter of concern. And the other person say, um, for example, why the ambassador will not show picture of the ambassador. The ambassador is not an artifact of interest. He's a person. Of course, I brought the ambassador. If anybody gets proof otherwise, for sure, say the ambassador is in Guinea, let them produce the proof. Is
Just not
the,
say he's here.
the ambassador is not an object of a circus. The ambassador is an individual that came to Sierra Leone on the invite of government through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for investigate on the matter, right? Uh, when Mrs. F come, I'm not a person on the investigation. Somebody may say, Motokawa, they come. No, I am.
Then ambassador drive na the same motor car.
The ambassador came in his diplomatic vehicle, and I came in the vehicle assigned to me by the government of Sierra Leone.
But at the
As
same
Minister of
time.
Foreign- Yeah, we came together. I brought the ambassador to Sierra
So
Leone.
you didn't us now.
I don't know Saide, but the
Who say
ambassador
you
is in
hand
Sierra
them
Leone.
over, Mr. Minister?
The ambassador was not. Ambassador is not a criminal, as far as I know.
No, but the narrative out there.
Also, for me, don't bring the ambassador.
No, the narrative out there na that you go Guinea
Mhm.
for go get diplomatic negotiation.
Yes.
For let them release the then ambassador to you.
Mhm.
And according to the Minister of Information, by
Yes.
then at the press briefing,
Yes.
he say you currently there on the way they bring them.
Yes. And I came with the ambassador. I got to Freetown. In fact, let me tell you what happened. When I came to Freetown with the ambassador, that very day, I just go take my bag now, went to Lunge and went to the African Union
So
Summit
after you left the ambassador
in Sierra Leone.
Right.
The ambassador is a citizen of Cambia district. So when I come, the ambassador left na Cambia district first. Me go straight na Freetown. I come straight Freetown and go. The ambassador then, when the ambassador was invited, me deputy, I get a deputy even if I'm not in a country. But we get order. The director general and everybody spoke to the ambassador, and then of course the ambassador was handed over to the chief diplomat. And I believe the ambassador is under investigation right now because the authorities are so doing. But me own role for go bring the ambassador. If anybody has a question, we doubt that, let them go to Guinea or go ask the Guinean authorities. Now, not in they hide. Let them do investigation. The ambassador is in Sierra Leone. At the time I brought the ambassador, I brought him to Sierra Leone, and there's no question about that. So I don't want us to ponder over something. The coming of the ambassador is not the important thing. The important thing is to investigate the crime and
And you
ensure.
can't investigate the crime without the person where you dey investigate.
So
where
you,
make
so you
people
said that the studio
don
not
dey
believe.
ask.
You said that the studio not believe.
I'm not doubting
Alaji
what you're
Timothy Kabasi
saying.
are not bringing ambassador
Nah,
Bangura.
the fact say
Mhm.
it's very unusual for Lelenkain here happen. Nothing of another on the social media. Nothing of another for like pictorial evidence for sure saying this is true. And we are investigating as serious as this matter is.
Maybe I did not go to Guinea to bring the ambassador for photo shooting. It's a serious crime that was committed. I went to Guinea to make the ambassador come and answer to what the crime is alleged. The ambassador was brought by me. The ambassador, we don't do young Utuga for Duna Foreign Ministry. The ambassador is now under investigation by the authorities responsible.
And you don't know if they detain or not?
No, I am engaged in other activities. As far as we're concerned, we are trying to promote the interests of this country and also for fight against crimes such as drug trafficking.
Somebody be asked for one of the diplomats in the Security Council, Agnes, with the situation we get for do with Omar Sharif.
I have no idea whatsoever it is with a given Omar Sharif. Agnes is working as an intern. In fact, Agnes is an intern in the Security Council helping us. What is wrong if somebody gets qualification for work and not that Agnes is in fact being paid money from the government of Sierra Leone? This is a young lady where by virtue of her education, one for improve on the experience, and of course we're given the opportunity for intern with the embassy, not being paid from the consulate.
So not any official position. Like,
it's no. She's
like how the public information that you
this,
get work.
what crime has she committed?
An appointment ticket.
What crime has she committed for working in the embassy of Sierra Leone as an intern or a participant in the Security Council? What crime has she committed? And what crime have I established that he commits? So you see, while we try for ensure we promote the interests of our country, national cohesion and unity, they will be careful for making all the draw things that are not important to the daily life of a country.
All right. Many thanks, Mr. Minister. We joined with this morning.
Thank you.
It'll be a pleasure for hosting us. So after so many international engagements, we just come on and also now can update the public, but all of the rumors we get for the then ambassador. Many thanks to you, if we don't watch me. We apologize if we not able to read your message because the message can be so much, but because of time, we'll be need for read few and allow the minister for respond. Princess Pierce time produced the program, Musa Saukoma, and then his camera, Nadena the technician there. Mina Khadija Bangwa, they say have a blessed day.
All right, until we meet again, maybe Kabadi say that's a good
Mr.
day.
Balaji Kabadi say blessed.
And goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.